Wake up! I'm Shaggy Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And today we're continuing our drive down through Central America to taste some single origin coffees that I have roasted here at home, and I have ground this morning and brewed it in my automatic drip coffee maker. And we're about to taste it to see what it's like. So I think I'll pour it and get it cooling off. Well, I pull out my coffee book called Coffee Obsession and show you where this comes from in Honduras. So here's the map and the book of Honduras, and it is up in this region here. So this comes from the Cooperative San Antonio, which is kind of on the border between a couple of different states, regions, departments, Copan, and Santa Barbara. It's kind of the border here. And the cooperative is up in this region with lots of hundreds of coffee growing farmers up there. So that's where it's from. What's the book say about this? Oh, it's a bunch of names that I'm going to butcher, so I won't even try. Make up the Copan profile of full body coffees with cocoa and heavy sweetness. Okay, uh-oh. Someone gave me tasting notes before I tasted it. But I'll try to ignore that and just go by what's here in the cup. I might read a few items from the bag too, but let's see what I smell and taste. Not sure. It's pretty hot. It's kind of a savory note, an earthiness, savory, spicy. Not like peppery, but baking spices. Clove or nutmeg or something more like that. It's a fruitiness, like the plum, red plum, black plum that I always say. There's not a lot of sweetness here. And I don't really get cocoa or chocolate notes. Maybe it's too hot for that, or maybe they're not there. But underneath the fruity part is this layer of savory stuff. Maybe the earthy note that's sometimes interpreted as cocoa or chocolate is just that savory layer. Interesting. Good coffee overall. It's still a little on the hot side. I hope I can tell more when it cools off a little, but it's really tasty. A lot of people would go, wow, that doesn't taste like coffee. But it tastes like one of my coffees. So this is a 5-pound bag from Smokin beans. And they have a deal with this cooperative to sell their specialty grade coffee to them. And I'm buying it for about $4 a pound, which is very reasonable. And all the details on this growing and cooperative is like 1,200 to 1,400 meters. It's only a single variety of Catamore, which I've not heard of or tasted or remember from any other purchases I've made. Strictly hard bean, fully washed, and from Cooperative San Antonio. And they say recommended roast level medium. They don't give you a range. They say it better be medium or something might be wrong with it, or you might call it names. And I roasted this to a good looking medium. Oh, I was going to bring the beans in to show you, but they're kind of brownish. I didn't go very dark. Okay, it's opening up a little bit and changing, but I'm not sure I know what to call the flavors. It's in the fruity zone. It's in the fruity region. Now it's cooling off. It might be more peachy, apricot, berryish. Blackberry, raspberry, black raspberry. There's not a tartness to be, there's not enough tartness to be raspberry, but blackberry might be good. Description. It's getting a little bit sweeter and a little bit fuller on the fruitiness. So that's pretty interesting. I haven't had those notes in my Mexicans or Central Americans up till now. Still not really getting chocolate. No cocoa, no chocolate. No real acidity. It's a fairly bright flavor, and it's getting a little bit brighter. I'm not sure I would attribute that to acidity. There's nothing lemony or citrusy. But it's getting brighter as it cools off. So maybe the acidity is showing a little bit more. So this is a different animal than what we've had so far. So I'm going to do that again. And remind you to like the video down below, leave a comment, leave a question, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to get notified when the new videos come out. Temporarily, only on Mondays. I'm trying to slow down the speed of the 25-ish coffee reviews that I'm doing, and an associated topic every time. So I'm looking to do 25 varieties and a topic like how to brew this, or why filter paper tastes bad, or things like that. And I want to slow it down because I want to go out to a few places here in the New Orleans area, like Cafe Du Monde or other good coffee houses, because it's an experience, and we're in the middle of this Corona stuff, so I want to have a different outcome than it looks like I might have right now. So I will let this cool off a little more. Let's do a little more tasting here. Yeah, that fruity note in the middle is expanding as it cools down. I am starting to get more of a blackberry character to that. And so it's not just plum anymore. And there's a savory layer for sure. That has some spiciness or herbal notes in with it. It's not like hay or leaves or broken, grass or leaves. Something you don't eat. It's a spice that you've had in your mouth and tasted it. Or a mixture of several spices that you can't quite pull apart. So it's definitely not peppery, but there's a spiciness to it. Buried in a savory layer. So the flavor notes on this say fruit and honey fragrance, blackberry, red apple. So I'm not getting honey fragrance. I might get a little fruit aroma when it cools down enough. And I did say blackberry, but I sure don't get red apple. And there's a little bit of a peach or apricot as it cools down some. So yeah, I think I've gone over all the notes I'm pulling out of this. I'm going to add a little bit more and do the cream thing. And then the extra topic for today, after I'm done tasting, will be pour-over brewing methods, which are pretty much the same kind of thing as an automatic drip coffee maker, but you're doing it manually. So a Chemex is a pour over. And a V60 is a pour over. So I'll do a couple things in the kitchen and show you that stuff and taste the results. Oh wow. Again, it turns caramely, milk chocolatey. The cream just makes it into a whole different thing. So I'm looking for the fruit notes, but I'm not sure I'm getting those. It's caramel and milk chocolate. It's a buttery note. It's butterfat. This is half and half that I poured in, by the way. And probably more than I would normally do. I just want to overdo it for tasting notes. Wow. Creamy, rich, not as brown tasting as it used to be. All the notes are lighter. Buttery, creamy, caramely, milk chocolate. Not cocoa, not bitter. And a tad more sweetness that I think the milk is taking to it. So very similar transformation every time I put cream in. So I'm going to enjoy this and send you on into the kitchen to watch a little pour over action. So I've got a little bit of gear here to demonstrate a couple of kinds of pour overs. So this is the classic Chemex, which has its own built-in vessel, receiving vessel, and filter holder. And they have their own brand of paper filters. And then I've got a copy of a V60 type thing here. I'm just doing it into a little cup with a smaller amount of coffee. And then I have another V60 clone or copy, but I'm using a metal mesh basket filter to show you what the difference is there. And I am going to put in some water, hopefully 100 grams, about twice, to rinse out the paper taste of the filter. So I'm going up high on the sides, trying to stay inside the funnel, and that drained out well, and it smells kind of papery. You know what, cardboard, that sort of smell that you probably don't want in your coffee. Then I put about another 100 grams in. So this gets rid of much of the paper taste in the filter. Okay, so the water is boiling again in the electric kettle, and the goal here is to get the right ratio of coffee to water, which is about 16:1. So my 48 grams requires 768 grams. So I can go ahead and start adding the coffee. And I'll want a 0 after that goes in. So I'm pouring it right into the deepest part of the cone. 48 grams, as I said before. I'm going to knock it down and make a nice flat surface as much as possible. Then I'm tearing the scale, zeroing out the scale because I want to add water by weight. I'm getting 201 degrees, so I will be satisfied with that. So now I'm just getting it wet from the outside, then move to the middle. Wow, this is foaming up a lot. That's telling you the coffee is fresh. There's a lot of CO2 coming out of it. Lots of bubbles. I just got everything a little wet. I'm letting it die down before I really go in with lots of water. I've added 81 grams. I think it's dying down a little bit, so here I go with some more. It's wet. I'm trying to break up the cake and make it uniform. Usually trying to hit the coffee. There is 271 grams total. Here is 350, 390. This is not what I usually do. I'm not a pour over expert. I'm just demonstrating the gear in the process. I should have moved it around a little bit. I'm starting to get down to where it might go dry, and I don't want it to go dry. So I'm going to wash down one half of the filter. And the other half, I'm still about 500. 570. 650. I'm looking for 768. Very close. And that's pretty much the recipe I use in my auto drip also. So that's just a starting point based on the water to coffee ratio. And I'm at about 2 minutes 15 seconds on the timer. This might not be the right tool, but I'm reaching down into the cone a little bit and stirring up a little coffee. Don't want to hit the paper or whack a hole in it. I just want to move it around a little bit. So we would need a coarser grind to get this in the direction of 3.5 minutes. I'm going to go on to the next thing, which is a smaller batch in this plastic V60 knockoff. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to use a little paper filter. This might be something you might take with you traveling if you're a coffee nerd or fussy about coffee. Take some bottled water, buy bottled water. Take your coffee. Take a grinder with you if you're that picky also. But I am folding up the paper filter so that it fits into the cone. For this one, this is a smaller amount. It's only going to take 25 grams of coffee. 400 grams of water. While we're waiting for the water to heat up, I'm going to show you this cool thing, which is a travel funnel. So it packs flat. It's made of silicone rubber. Packs flat, but it pops up into a little pour over funnel. So you put a paper filter in there and put it into a cup, and you have some gear to take along with you that takes up very little space with very little weight. So I don't know all the amazing pour over gear that is available, but I came across that just looking for paper filters. So I've already rinsed this filter. I have already emptied out the cup. I've rinsed the filter twice. I've emptied out the cup. I have tared, which is it's going to be the same kind of thing. It's probably too finely ground and will make the time for this take too long. This is 25 grams of coffee, ground for my normal automatic drip maker, and I'm leveling it out there, and that says 26, so I did tear it, and now I'm ready to add water. And there's no filter to wash out, and there's no timing to worry about since everything's already decided. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this ground coffee into this mesh filter, and let's see, everything's been taking too long, so it's ground too fine. So I'm going to get more sediment, more fines going through the holes in the mesh than I would if it was ground properly for the pour over time, recommended pour over time for this. So this is probably too fine, so it's going to be very muddy coffee. But here is what we're going to do. Okay, it's all in. 201. Yeah, it's not going to go up much more. It is in the right range. Beautiful. So, first, Okay, first I'm going to pour it into here because this scale might go off. Okay, so I did the bloom part. Then I'm doing this bloom part without a timer. Whoa, it's really crazy. It is blooming up good. Again, my arm's getting tired. Okay, that looks like a good bloom, and I will add more. Wow, it's lots of bubbles coming off. And 400 grams is my target here. It will fill up the cup pretty much. So also seeing plenty of bubbles here. So I'm breaking up the cake, going around the edges, going in the middle. This one's going to be done first. And I'm shooting for 400. Man, I'm almost there. Okay, 404. Hope the water holds out to get this one up to snuff. 370. 410. Okay, both of them ran over. This is like 409. This one's 411. So in the ballpark. As I said, I don't do this all the time. If I had more practice, I could do the right amount of water in the right amount of time. This guy looks like he's going in the right time frame. So this one could be good. This one's going a little faster than the Chemex did also. So I'm optimistic these will taste pretty good. So when they're done dripping, I'll just carry them into the tasting room and we will resume in there. So I'm expecting this to be a little strong. This could be closer to what I made in the auto drip, and this I'm expecting to be muddy and full of sediment and ought to be easy to see in the glass cups that I taste in. So that's what's in store. So back in the tasting room for a little quickie taste of the Honduras, made via pour over by a rank amateur at pour overs. So this looks like about the same strength as what I drank before. Aroma's about the same. There's kind of an herbal, woody note that I didn't really pick up the first time. This has cooled off quite a bit since the boiling water went in, or almost boiling. So I'm getting the fruit. There's no chocolate. Well, it certainly isn't stronger, but the fruitiness is standing out. And perfectly serviceable coffee. Let me move on to the smaller prep and the little more portable filter that you might be able to take on a trip and do it in a hotel room. This looks about the same. I can't really tell any difference in the color. No, much hotter. Didn't have to heat up all this mass of the Chemex. Funnel, paper, glass. This one stayed hot and I just did it. Just got done dripping it a minute or two ago. Wow. Shouldn't be comparing different temperatures, but this is very fruit forward. It's got the same notes. I'm remembering this from a couple hours ago when I did the first tasting out of the auto drip. So I'd say these are very similar, and they're both similar to what I made before in the automatic drip. Now this one I'm expecting to be different. Oh yeah, it is muddy, opaque, hazy. I was going to pour it in and mix up any sediment that has settled out, but it's not necessary. This is crazy cloudy. Smells. It's got the herbal, stemmy, woody note. than I got on this one at first. And this is going to be hot too. I'd say the tasting notes are not different than over here. But there's a mouthfeel. There's a residue. There's a feel that's different than this. I'm not sure it's good or bad. It's just different. So if the sediment and cloudiness doesn't bother you, those metal mesh filters do just fine. So if you grind up your coffee, heat up your water and pour it in here, you'll have a cup of coffee pretty fast without using paper. That's it for the tasting today. Next time we're going to be doing a Guatemalan Antigua as the specialty coffee, and the topic is going to be rinsing out paper filters and the paper filter taste test. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment or question down below. Subscribe and ring that bell to get notified when the new videos come out on Mondays. And so, cheers. Ooh, thick.